There's already so many of you online interacting, engaging. Let us know who you are and where you're from in the chat. Want to get that going and get the hype up for Sabrina Walker Hernandez, who is speaking in just a few minutes. So I'm really excited to have you all here today. Before we get any further, I know one of the top questions we always get is this webinar going to be recorded? The answer is yes. And are these slides going to be shared with you after the fact? And I will leave that to Sabrina to share her slides if she would like to do that. So Sabrina, I'll kick that over to you to let everyone know. But really excited to have you here. Hey, it's Valentine's Day. There's a lot of love already in the chat, and we are going to get started in just a moment here with our webinar, Donor Love, the Roadmap to Sustainable Fundraising. So give it up. I see so many people here already, so many hearts for that Valentine's Day. So we have LA, Tucson, Arizona, Texas, Tennessee, a lot of Texas folks today. I love it. Jersey, Syracuse, New York, San Francisco, Puerto Rico. Welcome, everyone. This is so great. Well, I am excited to have you all here today. And I want to just get into it. I'll share just a little bit about Community Boost, give a little invitation to you for upcoming Nonprofit Marketing Summit, and then Sabrina's going to take it away. So just a little bit about Community Boost if you haven't attended one of our webinars in the past or aren't familiar with us. So we are a digital marketing agency that exists to empower nonprofits and causes through high impact digital marketing so they can change the world. So we work with about 500 nonprofits directly as an agency, doing anything from Google Ad Grant Management, meta advertising, SEO, email marketing, and so much more. And we have about 200 nonprofits that are in our accelerator program, which equips you to run marketing and really scale it for your organization. And we do a lot of free resources like this one, as well as our Nonprofit Marketing Summit. And I've had the pleasure of impacting about 50,000 nonprofits through our Nonprofit Marketing Summit last year. And so with that, I want to just briefly here invite you, if you haven't signed up already, the Nonprofit Marketing Summit is coming up. It is completely free. It is all virtual. There's 80 sessions from some of the top thought leaders in the world to help you drive unthinkable growth at your organization. So would really love for you to go ahead and scan the QR code or click that button here, get your free ticket, and join us March 5th through 7th for the unthinkable growth awaits. So love to have you there. And also a special shout out and thank you to Bonterra for being our partner in this and being one of our sponsors. So really thankful to Bonterra. And then I'll take my slides down, and I really just want us to give a really warm welcome to the incredible Sabrina Walker Hernandez. Sabrina is a certified consultant, coach, facilitator, and best-selling author who helps nonprofits and small businesses build relationships that increase revenue. She has over 25 years of experience in nonprofit management, fundraising, and leadership. Among Sabrina's successes is that she increased operation revenue from $750K to $2.5 million and completed $12 million comprehensive capital campaign in the third poorest county in the United States. She has facilitated numerous workshops with hundreds of nonprofit and business professionals. Sabrina is certified in nonprofit management by Harvard Business School, and she is an active community leader and volunteer in Edinburgh, Texas, where she is based. So really excited to have you here, Sabrina. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be talking about this on this Valentine's Day. And so what I'm going to ask is, I'm going to ask for tech grace, okay? Just give me some tech grace. I'm going to share my screen in hopes that this goes well. And if it doesn't go well, well, you know how that goes, right? So we are just roll with me as we share the screen. Hopefully everybody can see it, and I'm going to assume that we are all good. If not, somebody will come off and tell me, right? So Today, let me start off by saying we're going to be talking about donor love. It's the roadmap to sustainable fundraising. And I'm so excited to be talking about this because I believe in the power of love. Today is my wedding anniversary, too. Yes, I was one of those people who got married on Valentine's Day, and it will be 31, oh my God, 31 years today. So, a little bit about me. Again, I studied political science and public administration. I obtained a nonprofit management certification from Harvard Business School. And for the last 2 decades, I've worked in this nonprofit industry. I worked in direct services, operations, and executive leadership. And as mentioned, I help nonprofits and businesses build relationships that increase revenue through strategic planning, board education, and leadership development. Now, I always start my PowerPoints off with this, but with the pictures, because these are all moments of me stepping outside of my comfort zone. And sometimes when we're talking about showing this donor love and going through this process, it might be a little uncomfortable for people, or not even uncomfortable. You might be like, I don't have time for that. Where am I going to find the time for that? You're like, this is wonderful, but really, I don't have the time for that. Well, I'm going to tell you that this is something you absolutely need to make time for. You need to step outside of that comfort zone. There's great opportunity and learning outside of the comfort zone. Trust me, being able to skydive and rappel and swim with the dolphins. I'm not an adventurous person, but you couldn't tell it from those pictures. So what do? I do workshops and webinars, board and staff retreats, keynote speaking, coaching, and consulting. And what I'm going to do today is give you everything that I have and I've learned on this journey so that we can move forward. But before I start with that, I want to talk about Bonterra. So Bonterra, I'm actually a coach, fundraising coach for Bonterra. And a little bit about them is they were formed in 2022 from the combination of more than a dozen best in breed social good software products. It has quickly grown to the second largest social good company in the world. And so if you don't know about Bonterra, go look it up. Great organization that's helping a lot of nonprofits, over 16,000 plus nonprofit organizations with over 20 products. And so they are really good at strategic philanthropy. You have cyber grants, We Spire, fundraising and engagement, Network for Good, which is where I happen to coach at, Every Action, Give Gap, Salsa, Mobilize, and then under impact management, social solutions. So it has a wealth of things that you can access. But what we're here to talk about today, we're here to talk about donor love. So here's the elephant in the room. Several elephants in the room that people don't talk about. 85% of donors do not give a repeat gift because they did not receive a thank you. So let that sink in. We are the heart people, right? A lot of us are in this for the mission. Then we want to help people, but we don't do something as simple and with the manners of saying thank you. So basically, we're saying we're too busy to say thank you. And 85% of donors don't give a repeat gift because you didn't do a simple thing like say thank you. So most studies agree that it costs nonprofits about 10 times more to bring in a new donor than it does to keep an existing donor. That means for each 100 new donors that you bring in, you lost 99 of them. And you lost them again. Why? Because you failed to say thank you. So while we're spending all the time and money courting the new kids on the block, right? The old ones who've already supported you, they're already sold on your mission. They already know what you're doing. you kind of leave them behind and you lose them. So every year you're going out and you're starting all over again. And I'm going to ask you to stop doing that. I'm going to ask you to invest a little time in saying thank you, in donor love. And it's important. And I used the donor love approach for over 15 years as the CEO of a nonprofit organization. And you heard it increased annual operating budget from 750,000 to 2.5 million. What it doesn't say is it took 8 years, but 8 years in the scheme of that growth is a small amount of time. And it was because we focused in on the donor's journey, donor love in particular, and we're going to go through that. But we also completed a $12 million comprehensive capital campaign and grew the endowment to $500,000 and had 180 days operating reserve. And my organization was located along the Texas-Mexico border in the third poorest county in the United States. Now, I say that I say that because look, everybody here is sitting in a different seat. Some of you are from rural areas. Some of you are from metroplexes. But the thing is, we all have a reason why something is not working. And I'm going to tell you, we also all have a reason why things should work. You have to take where you are and use that to your advantage. So, being along the Texas Mexico border in the third poorest county in the United States had its challenges, but focusing in on relationships and showing genuine donor love will keep your current donors. It's going to help you raise more money, and it's going to move your donors up the ladder to repeat gifts. And you're going to stop working so hard to get new donors. And I think we forget the whole approach is to move the donors up the ladder. And so there's this ladder. Imagine this ladder, right? You have your first time donor. You want to move them up from a first time donor. You want to move them up to a repeat donor. And then you want to take them up to the next rung of the ladder. You want them to go from being a repeat donor to maybe a sustaining donor. And then from a sustaining donor, you want to move them up to a major donor. And then from a major donor, you may want to move them up to a bequest. But that all takes you investing in the relationship and not abandoning the relationship when they are first time donor and not saying thank you. And so we're not seeing the big picture of what it means to fundraise. And so there's a process in this fundraising world. And you have to know that you're trying to move your donors up a ladder instead of every year rushing out to get new donors. And so I know that many of you are sitting in a seat, right? And you're wearing many hats and you're trying to where do I focus my time and if I have to be responsible for fundraising, when do I do fundraising? When do I work with the board? And then there's program and then there's this. I get it. I sat in that seat. And because I sat in that seat, here's the deal. I had to develop a process. And so for me, when I look at fundraising, I look at the process. So 10% of fundraising is identifying donors, potential donors. 10% of fundraising is qualifying those potential donors. What does that mean? That means just because you've identified them doesn't mean that they're going to get to your organization. Does the mission resonate with them? Do they like animals, right? Do they like kids? Do they care about the environment? Those are qualifying questions. After you, beyond that, do they have the ability to give? So you spend 10% of time identifying and then 10% of time qualifying. And then 60% of fundraising is building the relationship, which is cultivation. That's 60%. That's the largest piece of the pie, building the relationship. And then 5% is asking. That's asking for the dirty F word, where when you talk about fundraising, the dirty F word, that's the asking. Will you make an investment of $25,000 in my organization? I call it the fear of the five because it's only 5%, but a lot of times people won't fundraise because of the fear of the five. But if you spend time doing cultivation, which is building relationship, and what we're here to talk about today, which is the 15% of thanking, right? That's maintaining the relationship. If you focus on that, that 5% almost goes away of the asking, because if you build a statement, if you build a case for support, people know what you need, you've developed that relationship, they understand what your mission, what you're trying to accomplish, you've made the case, you've built the relationship, you've courted them, for a lack, let's talk, it's Valentine's, right? So let's talk about it. You've courted them very well. Now you get to the ask, is where you pop the question, and they said yes. Now the thank you, if you look at it like that, the thank you, saying the thank you is like, okay, we married now, but you still got to do the same thing that you did to get me. You got to do the same thing to keep me. So you got to celebrate our anniversary. You got to celebrate those special moments. That's what the thanking is. That is what saying thank you is celebrating those special moments after you popped the question. You said yes, you courted them. Now you got to keep doing those things. So relationships plus results equals reoccurring revenue. That is retention. Donor retention has to be a priority if you want to survive and thrive in today's competitive nonprofit marketplace, period. It makes no business sense for you to keep going out to acquire new donors. It is costing you more to do that. We should not have any arguments or excuses around that. Securing donors only to lose them is not good business. And trust, nonprofit is a business. The word nonprofit, that's just a tax designation. What you have is a business, and it just does not make good business sense for you to secure donors only to lose them and start the whole process over year after year after year. And so what do you need to make sure that that 15% that you're celebrating anniversaries, that you're, buying the Valentine's gifts and sending the flowers and doing all those things? What do you need? You need the 3 P's of successful donor retention. If nonprofits do these 3 things, donors would likely give again or give more. And they're pretty simple. People want a prompt thank you, they want a personal thank you, and they want a powerful demonstration of the gift's impact. And the more you incorporate the 3 P's into your ongoing donor acknowledgement, recognition, and communication, the greater success you will have in retaining and upgrading your donors. Remember, you are trying to get them to move up that ladder. So picture that ladder. You are a first-time donor. You want to move them up each rung to get to the top of that ladder. And what you have to do is prompt thank you, personal thank you, powerful demonstration of the gift's impact. And so I'm going to share with you how you can do a prompt thank you. Because here's the deal. A lot of people say, well, I don't have time to do the prompt thank you. Or here's the other thing that they do. They will automate that. So if I give online, you get the automated thank you, and you're like, well, we did thank them. That's enough. But think of it from the human nature. We all know that that is an automated thank you, right? So you need to go above and beyond that just a little bit. So how do you do that? How do you do a prompt thank you? So let's start by saying the donor should be thanked within 24 to 48 hours of receiving a gift. Let's start there. And let's start with perhaps the automated thank you is not that first response. I don't personally count that. That's a Sabrina rule. I don't count that one. What I count and what sets you apart is that handwritten thank you card. So you might be like, how do I do a handwritten thank you card within 24 to 48 hours of receiving a gift? Well, funny you should ask, because I'm going to share with you how you can do that. But before I share with you the how, let's talk about what should be in a thank you card. So the thank you card should be warm. It should be genuine. It should assure the donor that the funds will be used as they are intended, and affirm that their investment will make a difference, and give them concrete examples. And so here's the idea to get you started. How are you going to ensure that they get a handwritten note that meets that criteria within 24 to 48 hours of receiving a gift? Here we go. First, at the end, so here's some assumptions, and let me just go ahead and say what those assumptions are. The assumptions are that you're meeting with your board in person to get this done. I will share with you, if you don't meet with your board in person, an alternative, but this is for the people who are meeting with their board in person. So at the end of each board meeting, have board members write thank you cards and sign them. Now, what you need to do for your board members is come into the boardroom with the script already done, so they don't have to think about it. So pass out the script. It's going to be worded just right with all the things that we said. Pass out that script. Pass out the pens to your board members. Have them pass out the note cards to them, preferably a note card that has your organization logo on it and it has a picture or whatever that is. What they're going to do is take that script and they are going to write it in a note card. They're not going to address it to anyone, right? Don't address it to anyone. Just write the script out, sign your name. Then you're going to collect all the cards. So they're going to do 1 to 2 cards. Every board member will do 1 to 2 cards at the end of a board meeting, every board meeting. So if you're meeting on a monthly basis and you have, let's say, I'm horrible at math, let's start there. Let's say you have 5 board members and you're meeting on a monthly basis. That's 2 cards per board member, every board meeting. So that's 5 times 2, that's, what's that, 10, y'all? That's 10, 12 meetings. I know at 10, that's 100. That's 100 cards right there. So at the end of each board meeting, have board members write thank you cards and sign them. You give them the script. They write it out. They do not address it to anyone. You collect them. You put them, you're going to have a stockpile on your desk. When the gift comes in, what you're going to do is you're going to add the name of who gave the gift, and you're going to sign next to the board member's name. Now, you notice I said pass out the pens. Get your pens back, because the overthinker, the overanalyzer in the audience is saying, well, but the pens are going to be different colors. It's going to be different color ink. Pass out the pens, get your pens back, okay? Then the next person is going to say, but the handwriting is going to be different. It's just the name and your signature at the bottom. No one's analyzing it that close, right? So now that I got that out of the way. So basically, once you do that, you're going to have a stockpile of thank you cards on your desk. So when the gift comes in, you grab the card, you add the person's name, you sign your name next to the board member's name, and now you have a handwritten thank you card that every donor, no matter what size gift, is going to receive. And that's the first step. That is going to make them feel special. They got a handwritten note card from a board member and the CEO of the organization. That is a step in retaining right there. So beyond that, let's say if you don't meet in person, because I have the other people saying, well, we don't meet in person. Okay, so I serve on the board and we don't meet in person either. But there's a number of softwares out there, and this is where has to be important to your organization. There's a number of software out there that you can simulate handwritten thank you cards and get it out. I happen to use one, and I'm not promoting it here, but if you ask me later on, I can share it with you. But there are a lot of them out there. It makes a difference. We decided to invest in it because it makes a difference in retaining your donors. Now, here's another idea that you can have. You can recruit a group of board members willing to make a few phone calls on a regular basis. So I had a thank you committee. It was just 3 of us, 4 with myself, right? But what we would do is when we had a major gift come in, and major gift is look, people always say, what is a major gift? And a major gift for each organization is different. A major gift is when you get a check in the mail and you squeal and you want to share it with someone. If that's $500 for your organization that made you squeal, then that's your major gift level. If it's 5,000, if it's 25,000, that's your major gift level. So what you can do is when you get a major gift in and you have those 2 or 3 board members, you can reach out to them, email them and say, hey, we just got this gift from X, Y, and Z. Here's their telephone number. Can you call them and just say thank you? That is another way of idea to invest in this. And also, if that doesn't work for you, you can have board members host an annual thankathon at a designated board meeting. So that is 20 minutes of a board meeting. You come in the room, you hand out 5 names to each board, 5 names and phone numbers to each board member with the script that says, call them, say thank you, right? Some of them are going to get voicemails, and they're going to leave a voicemail that says thank you. But some of them are actually going to get someone on the phone. And when they get someone on the phone, they're going to have a conversation. After the 20 minutes, you bring them back together. You say, did anybody have an interesting conversation? And somebody will inevitably say, I had a great conversation with X, Y, and Z. They were so impressed that we called them because they never received a call from a nonprofit just to say thank you. That's going to set your nonprofit apart. And what did it cost you? It cost you 20 minutes during a board meeting. Even if that board meeting is virtual, you can do that. I love the sessions we call them get stuff done. Let's say it like that. Get stuff done. Where we just literally sit on a Zoom together and we can see each other. We're on camera, but we're all making the calls. We're all having the conversations. And so that's another way you can do it. Now, the personal thank you, what does that look like? That note, that script that I say you walk in with, you're going to update that thank you note every month with a new success story. The beginning and the end of the note or the letter itself doesn't change. What changes is going to be the middle after the phrase, let me tell you about Sabrina, right? This will help keep the thank you notes fresh, regardless of when the donor gives. It's also going to provide stories for your board members who are then taking these and transcribing them in their handwriting. They're also learning about a different client that you're serving or a different situation that has happened. So it has a twofold approach when you're doing that. It's going to create that personal connection, right? Because donors need to connect to a human being because they need to feel an ongoing connection. If they don't feel that ongoing connection, they're unlikely to give a repeat gift. So this thank you, this stewardship is very, very important. And the more personal you make it, the better. So no mass emailing. Don't mass email those holiday greeting cards like the Valentine's card. I know it can be it can be challenging, but try not to do the mass emailing. And if you say I have to do the mass emailing, then I'm going to say this to you. You need to have a criteria of stewardship where not to your top donors, not to your major donors. You need to set them apart, right? But a report that says, "Dear Sarah, I think that you did what you did was wonderful. Now Mary and her kids can sleep through the night." That's, you're trying to make that connection, right? And so you're trying to tell them stories. And so make sure that when you are writing out your thank you cards, that you are connecting to a story. So with that, I'm going to give you some ideas, because I am all about, okay, this is great theory. How do I get it done? What do I need to do? So again, to make that personal connection, there's a couple of things that you can do. You can set up personal visits, right? It won't make sense for every donor, but for the folks who you're cultivating for a major gift or a significant upgrade, it's the very, very best thing that you can do is a face-to-face visit so that you can tell those stories. If that doesn't work for you, you can send a video thank you. So first and foremost, if you can get in front of the person to say thank you, do that. If not, send a video thank you. You can record it yourself using your smartphone while you're talking and waving and smiling. And of course, there's softwares out there that will help you do that. I am trying to talk to the person who is tech adverse, who will make up all the kinds of excuses not to do this. You can use your cell phone right here. They're never too far away from us, right? They're always present. And you can record a quick video and you can text it, right? You can send a video from someone your donor's gift made possible. I will be very honest with you. For 15 years, I got to work with kids. And so I would grab a kid and say, I need you to say thank you to Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so. And then I would record them and I would send that video. And so if you have the ability to do that, then you can send a video from one of your clients, right? Also, you could send a note from someone your donor's gift made possible. So if it comes from a client, that makes it even better. So for example, like I said, I work with kids. So as a part of their arts and crafts projects, they would sit and they would do thank you notes to different donors. And they would be so cute because it had a lot of misspellings and it was okay. I had to tell myself it is okay. It proves that our program is needed because they obviously cannot spell, right? But they were really cute and they were really enduring. If you work with the animal shelter, here's one right here. It could be a guide dog, it could be a painting. I give to our local animal shelter, and they do paw prints as the thank you. And they get very creative with it. So it comes from the actual client. And so you have to think about things like that. But those are some of the ideas that you can do in order to make that personal connection. Tell that story and make that connection. And I'm going to pause here to say, even if you deal with a mission that maybe has some confidentiality around it, you just have to get creative. You don't have to actually share the client's name, but you can share their story in a way. You can say the thank you from a different perspective. And so basically, even if all of that's like, oh, that's still too much, start off with the first idea of having the board members make thank you notes, right? And so the point is, you need to do something, because 15% of fundraising is saying thank you, is showing that donor love, and know that 85% of people are not giving because they did not get that thank you. So you have to do something. All of these ideas are here to get you started. Now, how do you do the third P, which is the powerful demonstration of impact? I'm going to say this: donors don't care what you do, those are activities. They don't care how many people you serve, those are outputs. Donors want to understand the impact of your work. They want to know who is being helped. They want to know how lives are being changed, and they want to know their investment in your nonprofit is making a real difference in the world. Now, this was a hard message for me to hear, because I would go on donor visits and I would say, oh, we service 5,000 kids. Because I was very proud of that number. But they know no one cares. Those are outputs. So what? You service 5,000 kids. How are you changing their lives? Are they graduating on time? Are they, tell me a story about one of your kids. And I had to learn that message. And it was a very hard message for me to learn, because I thought, well, if I just go in and say, like, wow, look at all of these numbers that we're serving, isn't this wonderful? And to find out that no, it was not wonderful to them. They wanted to know how a child's life was being changed. They did not want to know about the collective 5,000. And so you have to understand that. One of the things that I will share with you in this too is one of the tips that I learned is, when you are sending a thank you card or a handwritten note or sharing information, photos of your kids, we, not just of kids, of your clients, we tend to think it's better to show this large group of people in a photo, like, oh, look at, all the great things we did for all these people. We're feeding all of these people. That overwhelms donors. They don't believe that my $1,000 gift or my $5 gift fed all of those people or provided all of those service. But if you share one powerful demonstration of your gift, that means one person in the photo, and they help that one person, they are more apt to be connected to that than giving them this overwhelming image of this group of people and saying, wow, look at all the people that you've helped. They're smarter than that too. So that powerful demonstration of the gift's impact is not only verbal, it's also the visual. And so when you're sharing this, they want to hear stories about successful outcomes, and particularly on how it impacts that one person. They want to know how their investment had an impact. And so what you need to do in order to demonstrate that is, you need to collect, organize, and share amazing and inspiring stories with your donors about the individuals that you are serving, about that animal that you are serving, about that impact that you are making. And so you need to share these stories over and over and over again. Share them in the newsletter, share them in the annual report, share them in social media, share them when you meet the donors, and again in the thank you letters. You start off sharing those stories in the thank you letters, the personal thank you letters that you're sending to them, the personal thank you letters that you're getting your board members to write out, the personal thank you letters that every month you're changing the story and sharing a story of an individual client each month. Because not only are you then taking that personal story and sharing it with your donor, right? You're also allowing your board member to experience that personal story as they write it out. And so that powerful demonstration of the gift's impact is you connecting the dots for your donors. So you're connecting the dots between their gift and the actual impact, right? And so I put all of these numbers here because it matters. 53% of donors do not renew their giving because the organization failed to properly communicate in one way or the other. 40% of donors leave for reasons tied to lack of meaningful info. 60% want impact and success stories. 70% of donors would increase their investment if they receive what they need. And what do they need? They need a thank you. 75% of donors use information about the nonprofit's impact in their giving decisions. So you're sharing the impact so that you can then get a repeat gift or even get a larger gift. 75% of donors list information on results achieved with their gifts as their top requirement to motivate for future giving. So it matters. And so here is a way that you can continue to share your impact, whether you're sharing that impact with your board, because believe me, your board should be your, sometimes we take our boards for granted, and your board is the ultimate donor to your organization. They should be given their time, their talent, and their treasure. And so you have to make sure that they too are bought in. That's why doing those cards and those scripts and giving them stories are so important. But here's another way that you can get them as well as other donors. But for your board in particular, number one is include mission moments in all of your board and committee meetings and volunteer activities. They need to hear stories about the people they're helping, right? So bring in that client. If it's a cute kid, I know I was lucky I had cute kids that I could bring into the meetings and kick off the meetings, took 5 minutes. But I've also heard of a zoo. They would bring in animals during their meetings as well. One brought in a snake. Now, can you imagine going to a committee meeting and a snake comes in and you get to touch the snake and find out, I don't like snakes, y'all, and find out how the snake feels and all that. What do you think you're going to be talking about when you leave that meeting? You're going to be talking about that snake, right? If you are an animal shelter, you can bring in a cat or a dog. The whole goal is to give people stories, share the impact. You can add video testimonial from someone who you've helped. You can add those video testimonials again on your website, in your e-newsletter. You can add them in a blog. You can add a link in your email signature. You can put there in the email signature, watch a video from a special message from our client, or listen to the special message from our client. A simple thing in your email signature. You can add testimonials from people you've helped to your donor honor roll, or share it via social media. The whole goal is to get these impactful stories out on all multiple platforms and have it being repeated over and over and over again. Your job is to demonstrate that personal and powerful impact that your organization is having. And then you need to make sure that you have ongoing engagement around that over and over again. Ongoing communication is the foundation of real donor love. You know how they say absence make the heart grow fonder? It does not in this case. It does not make the heart grow fonder. You need to send communication. You don't want to give your donors the impression that you don't care about them, or that you only see them as an ATM machine. And we all know that feeling, right? We all have a friend that, they don't call us, or they get busy and they forget to call you, and then y'all just lose connection. You just drift apart. You eventually stop thinking about each other. So the goal is to stay at the top of the mind. So if consistent communication, consistent demonstration of the impact. And for that person that's out there that's saying, I send the newsletter and nobody opens it up, right? That's ongoing. I hear that one a lot. And here's the thing: I am a monthly giver to an organization, two organizations, and one of them I do not hear from them unless it's Giving Tuesday or end of year. So I'm like, and I get offended. I personally get offended. I think last year I actually canceled my gift because I was offended. I was like, you ain't talked to me, you ain't called me, you ain't said nothing to me. The other one, I get a monthly communication from them, and I'm being serious. I get a monthly newsletter from them. Sometimes I don't open up the newsletter, right? But I know it's coming in my inbox, and I know they're thinking about me. And then I get a Christmas card. I just got a card from them the other day because it was my anniversary for my gift renewal. So they have a plan in place to touch me at least 5 times within a year. And that's all I'm saying. You need to have a plan in place where you're touching people at least 5 times within a year. So don't be afraid to reach out more than a few times. You want to connect emotionally on a frequent basis. Donors need to be reminded how their money is being applied towards results that are lasting and effective. Donors want to hear from you. It makes them feel awesome. Trust me, I'm a donor. It makes me feel awesome. I don't get much mail, and the mail I get is usually spam mail. I'm talking about in my snail mail box. So when I go through and there's a card from the organization, I get excited because it's a handwritten card addressed to me. When I just filter through all the, you've been approved for this credit card and you've been approved for this, and then the political ads, and then I get that card. It's like, oh, it makes my heart feel good. You want them to hear from you. You want to report on outcomes they care about. You want to make them feel like they're in the know and a part of a special community. You want to ask them for their feedback, their opinion, their advice. This is about ongoing communication. So here's some ideas. I'm going to wrap it up real fast about the cards and how you can, provide that ongoing communication, what you can say, how you can say it. So let's say if someone gave a gift and it's time to do a checkpoint in with them, you can say, remember back in April or May when we told you we were 60,000 meals short. Well, thanks to you, we served that 60,000th meal, right? So send that card. You can go, remember when you received an appeal asking you to help Janet and her son? I'm Janet. So remember, can come from Janet. And thanks to you, Janet can tell her personal story. Or remember last year when we told you Jimmy was the first in his family to graduate from college? We thought you'd like to hear Jimmy just got a job, right? So you're just providing them updates. But if you notice here, it's about Janet. It's about Jimmy. It's not about the masses. And so keep that in mind. And then really quick, we all remember it's Valentine's Day, y'all. So we got to do this. Y'all know the original 5 love language, right? Let's give Dr. Gary Chapman his due. Acts of service, words of affirmation, gifts of appreciation, physical touch, and quality time. Well, think of your donor's love language. Everybody responds differently. Some donors like hands-on service, some like words of affirmation, some tokens of appreciation, quality time, proof of impact. Those are the donor love language. And so as you learn about your donors, as you're building this cultivation and stewardship donor love culture, you will start to realize some of your donors, they love the hands-on stuff. So you would invite them in to roll up their sleeves and to get things done, right? So if you have if you have a homelessness program, you can invite them in to do those things. If you have a youth program, invite them in to do a hands-on project with the kids. So another one is words of affirmation. Those are the people who like the thank you calls. Those are the ones who are going to love those handwritten notes that you and your board members are going to do. Those are the people who love the words of affirmation. Then you have the tokens of appreciation, not swag. Whatever you do not do swag. Do not do that ink pen with their logo on it and the little notepad with your logo. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about unique, mission focused tokens of appreciation, handmade Valentine's cards that are made by the kids. We would send all of our donors Valentine cards made by our kids, because when was the last time you got a Valentine's card? Back in elementary, because we were too cool in junior high and we didn't do it in high school. So it's been a while since you got a Valentine's card. So imagine if you received a Valentine's card in the mail right now from a nonprofit organization. It would set you apart. It could be a framed and matted photo of your donors taken at an organization event. It could be a dozen cookies from the local bakery decorated with a simple thank you message. These are the tokens of appreciation. Inexpensive, but they express gratitude. And then finally, quality time. Those are the donors who like that face-to-face time. They want to go to lunch with you. They want you to stop by their office. Those are those type donors. So as you're going through this journey and learning about your different donors, make sure you acknowledge what their donor love language is. And then you're going to have finally those who want the data. I had a board member who and a donor who he loved the data. So the proof of impact, that annual report means a lot to them. Showing them the data meant a lot to them. So as you are learning your donors, you can learn what love language they speak. But you got to start somewhere, because donor love work. So there's reports out there. Donor-centric approach to donor engagement has significant effect on both donor retention and gift value upgrades. And so let me land this plane for you, because I want to make sure we have time for questions. Right here, it says the research. It shows those participants who receive focused attention, average gift values increased 39%, and donor retention was 70% after 14 months. And those that did not receive that focused attention, you lost them by 80%. And so it just makes good business sense if you start loving on your current donors and stop obsessing on strangers, and show your donors some love. So with that, I'm going to say thank you. I left about 7 minutes for questions. I'm going to stop the share so that I can see the chat and see if there's any questions there.
Amazing.
Yes.
Sabrina, this was wonderful. Can we get some love for Sabrina in the chat? We're talking about love, but this session was absolutely amazing. I am so thankful for you. There was such great comments in the chat throughout the whole conversation. I'll go ahead and send this over so you can get all the love from the everyone here today. So and also I'm just so thankful, and I want to share some love to everyone who joined this webinar today. So thank you so much for taking the time this Valentine's Day. And yeah, we love our community. So I guess as we get into Q&A, just wanted to give you all the opportunity to learn more about Bonterra again. So we'll put that QR code and our little button up there so that you can learn more about Bonterra and how you can use their amazing platforms for your organization. So go ahead, take a look at that. And yeah, we have some really great questions pulled up. And so I love this question. I think it's really practical. It's not a stupid question. Michael asked, do you thank your monthly donors every month, or do you do it quarterly, or just how would you approach thanking and developing that relationship, showing those love to those monthly donors?
That's a good question, because like I said, I stopped giving because they weren't doing anything for me. But I think the magic number, there's no magic number, but what I have found is consistency. And so whether if it's quarterly, that would be 4 touches. For some reason, 5 touches always resonate with me. It's a simple plan that I have, but yeah, touching them at least quarterly, whether that is um and when I say touching them at least quarterly, that means setting something apart from them. So for example, the one that I am a monthly giver for, they do a monthly newsletter. That's I know I'm going to get that. But then every quarter, I noticed their pattern. That's because this is what I do for a living. I will get a card in the mail, right? Or I would get something in the mail. Or actually, the CEO has reached out to me by phone as well. So they have a plan in place where they are touching at least quarterly.
Mm. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, I think that quarterly touch goes a long way to building on that relationship. So, yeah, and also although that impact reporting really also goes a long way in between. Great. And so, yeah, Liz asked, do you have recommendations for personalized thank yous for environmental nonprofits that would prefer not to create paper waste with tangible cards? But I think this also goes for really any organization that's
Mhm.
looking for some, tangible card alternatives.
Yeah, video. Video is king. I appreciate a good video, and it doesn't have to be this well-produced video. I think that's where people get really caught up, is trying to do these well-produced videos, and it just sit at your desk and send a quick video. And you can do that with the software systems now, and you can email them out and you can personalize them. But video would be the way to go.
I love it. Great stuff. Now, I have a question for you. So what are some of the tips that you would give to maybe smaller organizations that have a hard time managing all the thank yous on their own? I know I have a little tool that I would recommend, but yeah, any tools that you would recommend for really any organization to help them systematize their thank yous?
So for me, and I would love to hear your tool. For me, this systemizing it was using the board.
Mm,
Ending my board meeting with writing 2 thank you scripts, at least 2 to 3 every board meeting, really helped me, because we did meet. We did meet 10 times a year, and so um, and I had several board members, and so I had stockpiles of thank you cards on my desk that were always available to me. And that was the system that I used, because I knew one, that I was going to be meeting with my board on a consistent basis, and I knew that if I asked them to do that, that they would do it. And then not only that, I educated them on what stewardship and meant in the fundraising
mm,
process. And
mhm.
so that was the system that I used. That was the system that helped me. Candace, I would love to hear about what system you used.
Yeah, well, I think number one, I think that's a great, great tip just to leverage your board. And you already have them there. They're already in the meeting, like why not schedule some time in there for them to do some thank yous? I know for me, like, because we'll do like cards to some of our clients, or sometimes we'll do cards just inviting them to join us at the summit. And so we use a tool, it's called Postable, and so
Mhm.
it's a really great way to have like it looks handwritten, it's not, but we
Mhm.
can like load in all of our contacts, and then they handle the like postage and the mailing and everything for us, but we can customize that thank you note within that tool as well, or
Yeah.
really any note that we send, you can
Mhm.
customize it. So it's
Mhm.
a cool tool. So if you are looking for just something to maybe help,
Yeah.
it's a great option, I think.
Yeah. And I say it from the perspective of a small nonprofit. It's like, hey, your board members can write for free, but you still, but you still got to pay for the postage. There's no way around that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. So great. Um, and so I think this is a great question. I think it hits home a lot for a lot of the smaller organizations here, really any size. Jessica asked, what is the minimum amount someone gives to warrant a thank you? We are a very small nonprofit with limited capacity.
Everyone should get a thank you. There is no such thing as a minimum amount to get a thank you. It is common manners to get a thank you. And I would share this with you too, Jessica. So I had a person who gave us, I think he gave $25 to organizations, much larger capacity than $25, but he started off giving $25 to organizations just to see how they were going to thank him. And if you did not, and you failed that test, you were not going to get the $10,000 gift. So you never know the capacity of people, and you need to have a system in place where you say thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And it's just that first gift matters so much too, where it's like that person may grow into a larger donor over time. And even those small gifts really can mean a lot to them too. So,
Yeah. And I know we
yeah.
didn't talk about stewardship plans, but going back to Jessica's point too, I want to share this. We didn't talk about stewardship plans, but here's a little tip that I used before I got all, fancy with it. So for every zero that someone gives, that's a touch. So if they gave $10 to $99, that's 10. So they got one touch, which was a thank you card, right? And then if they gave 100 to $999, that's two touches. So they got a thank you card, and they got, let's say, maybe, I think they got a thank you card, and then we follow up with a video or something. And then if they give the $1,000, that's three touches. So thank you card, video, maybe a call from a board member. And then the next zero, every zero, you just add a different touch. And that's why I always got the 5 touches, because I don't think I got beyond the 5. So every zero is a touch, and you just develop what that touch looks like for you, if that makes sense. So thank you card, video, call from a board member, face-to-face visit, invitation to a special event, or it could be thank you cards, sign them up for the newsletter. And so if you just have a formula like that, that'll help you.
Yeah, amazing. And this will be our last question. We're actually already over time, and I'm really
All right.
thankful for you hanging in there with us. But Sue asked, do you have a sample of the thank you cards that you have the board do? So I just think any resources that you have to share about where you can find some really good examples for those that want to start this process and get their own thank you cards written.
Yeah, so actually, I'm going to drop a link for 26 easy and clever ways to say thank you, and it will have those samples in there for you.
Amazing. Well, Sabrina, this has been really incredible. I'm so sorry we didn't get to all the questions. We had just so many here today, such great engagement. Really thankful for everyone for being here. You will get the recording. And then, Sabrina, is it cool if we share a PDF version of your slides with everyone
Oh
afterwards?
yes, it's fine. I will make them there anyway. Yes, they'll be perfect by the time you
Okay,
get them.
perfect. This was incredible. Thank you again. Thank you for everyone who came today. This has just been so incredible. And happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day.
All right. Thanks. Have a good rest of your day, guys.